Hey everybody, Coach Mel here in my home. If you're watching this from somewhere else in the world or listening, we're in Post Falls, Idaho on the beautiful Spokane River. This is probably only the second podcast we've filmed in the new house, right Josh? So we're super excited to have our space. We already had the backdrop, but we added these awesome velvety, fun purple chairs, and we've got this nice conversational table for when we have a guest. So if you are listening to this, you are welcome. I encourage you to get out and walk while you're listening to this. If at all possible, don't sit. As you heard on the intro, I consider myself a health and fitness expert. I started out getting into health and fitness for my own benefit. I was on my own journey. After years of struggling, failures and successes and failures and successes, and once I had a lot of time under my belt in maintenance, I decided it was time to pay it forward, and I became a personal trainer, and 4 years ago, I created Melfit. So I have over 20 years of experience, and in that 20 years, I have done so many things. I became a personal trainer, a nutritionist. I'm a chef. I had a catering business. I'm a food prep coach. I've taught hundreds of people in my kitchen how to cook. I'm a food shopping expert. I teach people how to shop and navigate around the grocery store and buy healthy food items. I am a running coach, a marathon coach. We have this podcast and we have our own magazine, Melfit Healthy Times. So I really love that Melfit is the umbrella for all the things that I do. It's a little bit hard to explain, but it is. We talk all things health, fitness, and lifestyle. We're a very positive, uplifting community. We want to help build self-confidence through movement and whole foods. So today's podcast was a request from Holly Hutchings, and I actually love questions. Whenever I get a question several times, I create a podcast. So this particular question was what to eat pre and post workout. I'm going to address the question later, but I'm going to start the podcast with a little spin-off of my last Facebook Live that I had, because I thought that it was good information and it was worth sharing and it was worth documenting, okay? So the whole Facebook Live was based off a quote, and it said, the quote being, your new life is going to cost you your old life. And that morning I was filming a workout video. Excuse me, I've got a little bit of allergies. And I started talking about how relevant that statement was and is in my own life. And we go back 20 plus years. I'm about 5'1.5", very short waist, very long legs. I'm actually filming this podcast in my slippers. Does it get any better than that? No rules, my rules. Love it. That's what Melfit's all about, right, Josh? We have our own, we just, we drum to the beat of our own music. So I remember being super uncomfortable in my skin. I had never experienced weight like that. I'd never been overweight. I'd always been a active, skinny kid. My twin sister and I, we grew up on 100 acres. It came upon me so fast, and I don't know if this resonates with anyone, but I was so busy in my life and still haven't slowed down much since then. I didn't really notice. And I think that sometimes it takes a picture for you to realize like what the shell looks like that you're walking around in. I still had the same spirit, which I personally think I have a good spirit and I try to be really positive and make a difference every day in people's lives. But my spirit was starting to get crushed a little bit. I was feeling pretty insecure, starting to lose my self-confidence. I love fashion. I've owned 2 clothing boutiques along with my best friend, one in the Coeur d'Alene Resort Plaza shops and one here in Post Falls. And I feel like I can really express myself through fashion. And when you're not at your ideal weight, you can't just grab anything and put it on. So that was really bothersome. I was covering up and wearing, pretty baggy and loose clothes. I dreaded the summer because I didn't want to uncover. So my twin sister and I set out in the grocery store, and I remember being in the center aisles. Well, if you know anything about nutrition, you really want to be shopping in the outer aisles. That's where your produce and your fresh meats and your eggs and everything is. The middle aisles for Melfit, we're going to be getting minimal items, baking section, limited cans, a little bit of coconut milk, maybe some marinara sauce. So I was in the middle aisle. I was in the cookie aisle. This will shock you, Josh. And I asked my twin sister if Fig Newtons were healthy. And I legit thought that they were healthy. I was going to put them in the cart, okay, because the fig. So that tells you how much I knew about nutrition back then. So the best way to describe it is we were just really lost. We were trying to find our way. And back then, there wasn't a lot of good information. And to tell you the truth today, the reason that I created Melfit is to actually teach people that there is an answer and the right way to reach your goals. And I make exercise fun and I make food fun. And I think that that's the one thing that people are missing is they're looking for a shortcut. And what they really need to be searching for is longevity. And if you like Melfit, I would advise you to park your car here because the amount of legitimate nutrition plans that are going to save your life and change your life versus the amount of liquid gold shots, pills, and shortcuts. I mean, that outweighs the actual legitimate things that are going to work. So it's easy to look at the shiny object. It's easy to get frustrated and want to take a shortcut because it's 2 weeks before summer and you want to drop 15 pounds. But so I was really adamant about getting this knowledge out there. It's been a lot of time. When I had my brick and mortar studio, I really wanted to have nutrition plans that changed weekly for people, but I knew that I didn't have the time to commit to it. So after I sold my brick and mortar studio, I rolled up my sleeves and Josh and I created some of the best-selling meal plans on the market. And the one that sells like hotcakes, my 12-week boot camp, took us over 1,000 hours. So a lot of time went into creating those. Back to the story. Your new life is going to cost you your old life. I remember always getting out the calendar and going, okay, it's June 10th. I want to look good by July 4th. What drastic thing can I do? Starvation diet or appetite suppressant or whatever. And I truly thought to myself, as soon as I get to my goal weight, I'm going to go back to my old ways. I just need to get there. And then I can go back to eating Fig Newtons and apple fritters and whatever it is, binge drinking. Okay. And the reason my mindset was like that is because at the time I thought that's what I really wanted. And I thought that's the life that I really wanted. And anybody listening to this or watching this will agree that that's so silly. I mean, duh, it's obvious that in order to sustain the body that you have and the health that you have to consistently do the things that got you there. But I remember just holding on to that old me and that old life for dear life. And that's why I personally, myself, my twin sister, and millions of others, our whole life have gone up and down and up and down. And the common denominator is because we all end up going back to our old ways, okay? And old habits die hard. Is that the saying, Josh? Old habits die hard. And it's really hard to change something that you've always done. And I'd have to say my best advice for anyone is I can't tell you when to start. I can't give you your start date. But the advice I could give you is before you start anything, get your mind right. Get a tablet out, start journaling. And a goal without a plan is just a dream. If you want anything in your life, you have to write down and say out loud, this is what I want. And you have to have a plan on how you're going to get there. Wishing and wanting is not going to get you a healthy body, okay? So that's the problem is people are waking up every day saying, oh, I wish that I could lose 20 pounds. I want to lose 50 pounds. So that's fine, but then you need to follow it up with, how I'm going to do this is I am going to A, B, C, and D. So when you can finally accept that your new life is going to cost you your old life, that's where true success happens. And if you really think about it, why are you hanging on to the old version of yourself? You don't like that person. I never want to be that person again. That person was unhappy, unfit, unhealthy, miserable. So why do we hold on to this old person? So I thought that was a story worth sharing. Hopefully you can relate to it in your own life. We're going to get moving on to Holly's question, what to eat pre and post workout. I do have some good information to give you guys on this, but every body is different. I think that your blood type has a lot to do with it. So many variables have so much to do with it. Genetics have a lot to do with it. How you feel. So my best advice for pre and post workout is going to be, I wrote this down, and I'm going to say this again at the end, is let your experience be your guide, okay? So I'm going to give you some pointers, but ultimately you need to be in tune with your own body and start to take physical and mental notes of what you do well with, okay? And that's going to make sense after I get done. I think that the reason people are so obsessed with pre and post workout, and in my opinion, they're keywords that are, I don't know if I want to use the word gimmicky, but they are selling factors. They're marketing tools. And when people hear that, they think, oh, what can I buy to help me before my workout and after my workout? And those products are usually a protein powder or a shake, okay? Which there's nothing wrong with that, but the better quality whole food that you consume on a daily basis, the better you'll look. And we'll get into that a little bit. But I think that beginners, Josh, where is the first place a beginner goes to buy something when they're starting their nutrition journey? Where's the first store that they go to? Can you think of anything?
I want to say like the supplement store.
Yeah, for sure. What do they buy, Josh?
Supplements.
Protein powder.
Yeah.
I mean, protein powder is, without Googling it, I'd say is probably $1 billion industry, right? So I feel like that's where people get confused. Oh, in order to get better results or have better recovery, do I need to be buying all of these expensive supplements? In a perfect world, everything that your body needs to live and perform at its peak, its best, we should all be getting from whole food. Well, we all know that that's hard to do unless you're, it's just hard to do. We all try to get our fruits and vegetables in, it's hard to do. So there's a lot of things that you have to supplement. If you live in a cloudy area, you need to have your D3. If you don't eat enough red meat or you're consuming vegetables that have iron, you might need to supplement. If you're not eating a lot of fish, you probably need to take some omegas. So I think that first and foremost, having a whole foods nutrition plan is way more important than thinking about what you need pre and post. And the simplest way to say this to you, Holly, is your pre-workout and your post-workout should be your food that you have on your nutrition plan. There's not some special thing that we should have I'll give you some ideas, but does that make sense? So if you get up in the morning and you're in a fasted state, and people always want to know that, how do you perform better? Do you perform better in a fasted state? There's studies that say that, you burn more fat in a fasted state, but most importantly, what makes you feel the best, okay? You don't want to go into a workout with a full stomach. You don't want to work out after dinner. So hypothetically, if you go work out in a fasted state, what is your post-workout meal going to be in the morning? It's going to be your breakfast. So I think that people are overthinking this, and it's like, stop listening to the voice of others and listen to your own voice. I'll give you some, if you don't have a nutrition plan that I wrote that's well balanced, that has the proper amount of calories and macros, which if you don't know what macros are, it's a fancy term for carbs, fats, and protein, then there's probably a few things you might get out of this. If you're already working with me on a nutrition plan, just eat your food. Simple, right? KISS, keep it simple, Sam. Keep it simple, Sally. Don't overthink it, okay? So all our hard work in the gym is meaningless if you don't have proper pre and post-workout nutrition, which is your prepped food. The nutrients you provide your body with will determine how long and hard you can train. It also determines how well you recover. If you are working, if you are on MELFit, you're on our app, or you're on a nutrition plan, hopefully you've never been hungry. The one thing I always tell people, if you're hungry, you need to let me know. If you've eaten all your food and drank all your water, you need to let me know. Nobody should ever be hungry. It's not some low carb where you're going to feel crappy. You should feel good every day on your food, and you should feel like you have enough food, okay? So The better quality food you're putting in your body, the better performance. I already said that earlier. If you think about bodybuilders, when they get to their peak week and 2-3 weeks prior, their coach will pull out anything I call healthy process, like a protein powder, or, any sauces or anything like that. So they're down to fish, chicken, probably some asparagus, and very little rice. And the reason that is because their coach wants everything that goes into their body to be whole, and that's what's going to make them look the best. So even if you're not a bodybuilder, this applies to you. If you lean on healthy process like bars and that, you're not going to look as good. I used to be pretty dependent on bars. I would eat a bar on the way to my coffee shop in the morning, or half a bar. I don't do that anymore. If anything, a protein ball is a better replacement for a bar because it's made of whole foods, oats, nut butter. So it does have a little bit of protein powder in it, but I recommend protein bars, like for emergency 911. You're in your car, you're running errands, you can't get anything healthy, and at least it's better than nothing, or you're traveling or something like that. So, but don't lean on them. I use them for hikes and, quick things like that. Go for a moderate amount of protein and carbs and a little lower fat content. If you're working a plan on MELFIT, I've already done that for you. A lot of times on MELFIT, you'll see that I'll have you a little heavier on your fats in the morning, and will taper you. And I personally feel like I'm more cognitive and have better mental clarity for kind of really work that's, really mindful, that you really have to concentrate on. And same goes for carbs. If you go really low carb, you can't think, okay? So your body needs carbs to fuel your workouts, and protein for muscle repair. Getting a combination of both in our body 1 to 4 hours pre-workout and 60 minutes post-workout is a good suggestion. So that goes with the protein, carbs, moderate fat, okay? If you're doing a strenuous workout, you may not feel hungry right away, but I would suggest within an hour trying to get some fuel, especially if your last meal the day before was at like 5:30 p.m., okay? You've been in a fasted state for a long time, which is okay, but you're doing yourself a disservice of trying to build muscle and lose body fat, if that is one of your goals, by not refueling, okay? So if you haven't already prioritized that food is fuel, and that can really take the focus off why you're eating. If you start to have more of an athlete's mindset that the food that they're eating is for optimal performance, and I consider myself an expert in sports nutrition, then your mind is just different about the food. A lot of times I feel like some people it's like every single meal doesn't have to be, the best meal in the world. Not that MELFIT doesn't taste good, but every single meal does have to match your goals, okay? The number one question I get a lot is, how do I plan the time that I'm going to work out? Well, more importantly, plan what you're going to eat before that is what I think. If you're a runner, and I'm a running coach and marathon coach, I teach people that it's not necessarily the breakfast that is fueling you for your run. It's what you ate the night before and the day before. So the food that you ate 2 days ago can matter, can affect your performance on race day. So I would say a lot of people, rather than, oh, well, what time should I work out? Is it better to work out in the morning? Is it better to work out? The best time to work out is when you have the time and when you have the most energy. If you are spent at the end of the day and every time you get home, you get pulled 5 different directions by spouses and kids and emails and whatnot, then set aside a time in the morning to get your workout done. And I hear a lot of people say, I know this sounds like an excuse, and there is no other definition of excuse than what it is. It's an excuse, okay? So I respect people that own their shit, and I really don't enjoy reading check-ins when they say, I know this sounds like an excuse. I don't even want to hear that. It's an excuse, okay? So here's an epiphany. Do you want more time in your day? Go to bed earlier. You want more time in your day? Get up earlier. When I went from managing restaurants, working until late at night, to owning my own coffee stand, I felt like I was a zombie. I could not get through the day. I was in a cloud. I was drinking 9 shots of espresso. All I could think about was going home and taking a nap. I was pulling 12-hour days. My husband said to me, why don't you just go to bed earlier? So what I didn't do is I didn't adjust my new life. I was using my old life's hours to my new life. And that wasn't working. Going to bed at, I don't know, I think by the time I wound down and went to bed, it was like midnight. So it's not rocket science, people. You count out how many hours you need, 8 hours of sleep. You go to bed at 9:30, you get up at 5:30, okay? You have 12 hours in your day. Even if you work 8 of those, you have 4 hours. If you can't make time for a 25-minute workout or at least a walk, that is nothing but a what, Josh? Excuse! Calling the kettle black. So going back to what you ate, if you're working with me on a meal plan and your lunch is Melfit Sloppy Joes, which is a healthy version of Sloppy Joes over a baked sweet potato, I would recommend if you work out in the morning, I would recommend moving the sweet potato down to your dinner. I have the best workouts when I eat sweet potatoes. Am I going to perform as well if I have fish with a salad with lemon and salt and pepper? If you haven't already figured this out, your number one asset is your skeletal muscle mass. It's how much muscle you carry on your body. When you get into your senior years, if you don't have muscle, especially on your quads, you are not going to be able to get up and out of the chair. If you fall and break a hip, you probably won't recover. You have to be resistance trainings with bands or lifting weights, okay? I can't crush a workout with fish and salad. I need complex carbohydrates, slow burning carbohydrates, low on the glycemic index. So when you're thinking about what time you're going to work out, think more about what you're going to eat before. Okay? So if you are going to be working out in the afternoon, maybe you keep the sweet potato at lunch, okay? Also, it's let your experience be your guide. I thought that was a good phrase. I had to write it down. And take mental note and take physical note. Wow, Coach Mel was right. I did keep my sweet potato at my lunch, and man, I felt so good. I had so much energy, okay? So pre-workout, let's just say you're going to work out late afternoon. At MelFit, if you can touch all 5 fingers, you are doing well and you've eaten all of your food. Breakfast, snack, lunch, dessert, and dinner. 99.9% of the women and men that I coach are not eating enough, and that is making them store body fat, and that's why the scale never moves, okay? So when you're overthinking what your pre-workout should be, it shouldn't be something heavy. So if you've already got your meal plan, it's going to be your snack, okay? So we've had our MelFit Sloppy Joes for lunch, and then we're going to have our snack, which our snack is going to be some raw veg with some guacamole or bitchin' sauce. If you are new to eating fiber, vegetables, raw, that might not set well with you because your body has to get used to digesting fiber and especially raw food, okay? When you cook things, it gets rid of the nutrients. So that's where your experience is going to be your guide, and you're going to go, oh, shoot. I see today that my snack is the veggies, and I mean, I know I need that fiber, but I don't want to risk having an upset stomach, especially because I actually, and not everybody does my workouts, and that's fine. I want your workout to be something that's fun and that you enjoy doing and that you can stick to for the rest of your life. So let's just say this person goes to CrossFit and they're worried about flatulence, gas, okay? So that's when that person needs to go, okay, you know what? I think that instead of that, I'm going to move my dessert to this spot, and I'm going to have a protein ball pre-workout. That's going to set really well with me, okay? So it's all about what you know is going to set well with you. It's 100 calories. It's a good amount of protein, fats, and carbs. I know I do well with those, so that's what I'm going to do, okay? So pre-workout, I think the best and simplest advice would be think smaller, think snack. Nobody wants to crush a workout on a full stomach, okay? I personally do horrible with bananas. Also, I've been in maintenance. If you ever see, if you go to a race, they're always giving out bananas. Oh my gosh, I would get such a gut ache if I picked up a banana. To me, a banana is not to be eaten. I'd never peel a banana and eat it, okay? A banana has a lot of sugar in it. Can we use bananas for recipes? Sure. Can we use bananas in our smoothie bowls? Sure, as a base. But I, even in maintenance, only consume maybe 2 servings of fruit a day. That's half a banana, half a cup of blueberries, and maybe in the afternoon a small apple. A lot of times I make it a green apple because it has a lower amount of sugar. So would I suggest a banana? No, I wouldn't. Apples and almond butter? Sure. You've got some carbs, you've got fiber, and you've got almond butter. Now, here we go again with the apple. If you're not used to fiber, that might not be the best choice for you. Okay. So maybe you do some rice crackers and almond butter. Trail mix is good, but it's something that needs to be eaten very sparingly. It's hard to find trail mix without dried fruit that has added sugar. So I have a recipe on the app for that if you want that. Jerky, if you can handle just some protein, some jerky or a couple slices of deli turkey meat that are nitrate free, sugar free. You could throw a thing of asparagus in there, some mustard, some guacamole, or I love protein. Jean made some wonderful chicken tenders for us a couple weeks ago. She marinated them in a little bit of Bragg liquid aminos and I think garlic powder. I could just grab a chicken tender and have that. So it's a lot of personal preference and what you know is going to set well with you. Also, maybe just a small slice of sourdough toast, preferably gluten-free, or make sure it has minimal ingredients. Don't buy the sourdough in the aisles. Go to a Whole Foods store or a Better Bakery. So a slice of sourdough toast with a little nut butter, that would be fine. So even one of the Orgain 160 calorie vegan chocolate shakes would be okay. So hopefully that's helpful. So post-workout, like I said, is often going to be what your meal is. And like I said, if you don't feel like eating right away, just wait a little while. So it also could be a shake. We have some great meal replacement shakes. One thing I want to add here, you guys, one thing that really helped me when I was on my journey is I had to identify what it was that was going in my mouth. I logged my food for 20 years. So if there was ever a time that after I felt comfortable that I didn't need to log anymore, if there was ever a time that I was eating food without logging it, I was taking a mental note. And when I sat in front of my plate and I'm looking at my hand, I would say, okay, Coach Mel, what is this? We have to identify what this is. The constant grazing and constant snacking does not cut it. If you're snacking, you're probably eating healthy processed food and you have no idea how many calories you're consuming because nothing is measured. We're not anal measurers, but my God, at least count out your rice crackers, or if you're doing some Siete chips, portion them all up so you're not just grabbing out of the bag. So in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, what is this? Okay, this is going to be your snack, okay? This is going to identify as your dinner. So when you get done working out, you have to ask yourself, what's coming up next on my hand? Is this going to be my snack? Is this going to be my dinner? Okay. So oftentimes, if it's a meal, it could be a meal replacement shake. Okay. My Melfit green smoothie is to die for. Clean food is great. Eating protein and carbs after a meal help with glycogen replenishment. As always, watch your healthy fats. So you are kind of hearing that in repeat, and that's kind of what Melfit is about. We have olive oil, we have coconut oil, we have avocado, we have nuts, we have nut butter, but there are 9 calories in 1 gram of fat and 4 in protein and carbs, in a gram in protein and carbs. That's why 2 tablespoons of nut butter adds up to 200 calories. That's why a thumb of cheese, which is tiny, is 100 calories. So you really have to watch portions on fat, okay? If you're gonna be consuming a bunch of fat pre and post workout, it's going to put you over on your calories. There are a lot of good things about healthy fats. I don't want anybody to not to be afraid of them, but healthy fats digest slower than protein and carbs, and therefore it stops your blood sugar from spiking. Okay, so if I was running a half marathon or a marathon and I had gluten-free oatmeal, carbs, almond butter, healthy fat, a scoop of protein powder, and some berries, carbohydrates, that combination, I could probably get to 12, 13 miles on that. I probably wouldn't need any fuel. Okay. So that healthy fat from the nut butter is going to come in handy because it's going to keep your blood sugar elevated. If you have spikes in your run or spikes in your day, it's going to affect your energy, your performance, and your mood. Another thing I wanted to mention too, as far as things that will help you perform better for people that are, especially people that are working out on the Melfit Shred workouts, which are an hour, is if you're making my recipes and you're using cauliflower rice and you're not needing to lose weight, if you're in maintenance or you're just a pretty active person, you're getting a lot of steps, I would start with 50% rice, 50% cauliflower rice. And then if you feel good about that and you're maintaining or reaching your goals, then go straight over to jasmine rice. It's great. It's easy on the stomach, digests easy. Whoever got a gut ache from eating rice, right, Josh? So a few tips I'm going to give you. Where are we at, Josh? 42 minutes. How's that walk going, guys? You guys having a good time out there? Drinking some green tea. It's June 9th, Josh?
Yep.
It's June 9th, 2023, and we have had some beautiful weather, but the last couple days we've had some thunderstorms. It's a little, I actually have pants on today, which is weird. It's a little cooler, so good day for a tea. So some tips that I can give you is always eat a healthy breakfast. I wasn't losing a pound until I started eating breakfast. I would get up, make a gigantic coffee. It was healthy. It was an Americano with some, back then I think I drank fat-free half and half. Oh my gosh, what I didn't know back then. And sugar-free flavoring with Splenda, which honestly your body recognizes as regular sugar and doesn't understand what the chemicals are that we're putting in our bodies. And 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, I'd go for a 5-mile run, come back and drink a green smoothie and eat a healthy dinner. And I was at the highest body fat of my life. Go figure. If you're over 40, especially women, my opinion of myself, using myself as a basis of this opinion and thousands of people, looking at thousands of people's questionnaire and where they're at and what they're doing. Tell me what you're doing now and I'll tell you where you'll be a year from now. It's like the common denominator. We're just not eating enough. And eating breakfast keeps your blood sugar regulated all day, and it keeps you from that afternoon like, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry, I got to eat the whole house out, and I can justify it because I didn't eat all day, right? And then you're grabbing snacks and you're just overeating. Watch your portion size. If you knew you had 5 things to eat all day and the portions on them are really good, there's no need to overeat. If you overeat, you're not going to be able to work out. You're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to have digestive problems. You're going to have gas. On a scale of 1 to 10, I mean, you want to be just, okay, you want to be just satisfied. Like you want to be, I don't know, you want to be like a 5 or a 6. You don't want to be like super full and uncomfortable. Also, in between all of these meals and snacks, you don't want to be super ravenous either. You want to be, just a little bit, maybe your stomach's starting to grumble. So your body is trying to keep you alive. When your stomach growls, it's telling you, I'm hungry. It's time to eat. You need to replenish me. Your body needs a certain amount of calories, your basal metabolic rate, just to keep your body alive. And then it needs more on top of that. So it's just telling you what to do. But the problem with most people is they're so out of touch with their own bodies, and they don't recognize the signs that their own body is telling them. Snack well, try not to eat processed foods. When you think of a snack, it shouldn't be something out of a wrapper, even if it's healthy. Your best snack is going to be whole foods. Maybe you do some cucumber slices with some bitchin sauce, okay? That's easy on the stomach. Drink extra fluids. If it's hot, if you're training a lot, you're sweating out a lot of your water, make sure that you're replenishing with extra water. I'm going to tell you guys a story about new athletes versus experienced athletes. And how do I know this? Because I was both. If you've ever seen a new athlete, they carry a ton of water on them and they carry a ton of food on them. I remember one client I had, she actually had what we'd like to call a food belt. It was around her, and it's like she could dispense, like it was like a Pez dispenser situation. She had like jelly beans and gels, and it's like, my God, really? Did we need that much food? But I think that when you're uneducated, that's what you think. Also, I don't know, I think that maybe that comes from, people that are eating all the time because they're not getting properly balanced whole food meals. So if you see an unexperienced runner, they're going to be at every aid station. They're going to be getting a snack. They're going to be getting water. If you see an experienced runner, they're probably not going to have much on them, but maybe a gel pack, which I hate gel packs. I can give you another idea of something that you can take with you, even if you're a hiker. And maybe one small bottle of water. Why is this? It's because maybe I've taught them, maybe they figured this out from their own experience. If you hydrate before, that hydration is going to help you through the race, okay? So we're made up of over 60% water. You can be dehydrated or you can be hydrated. So rather than carrying all this water with you, rather than having to stop at every single aid station and get water, which is just going to make you pee or need to pee, why not come to the race hydrated, okay? The same goes with the food, and I already talked about it earlier. Eat well 2 days before, eat well 1 day before, eat well the morning of. Make sure that it's not a huge meal, but it's, enough to give you that satiety of a 5 or 6. And it's a good combination of carbs, fats, and protein that's easily digestible, that is going to get you through the race, okay? So that's super, super important. And I think that I met a gal one time and I asked her what she ate for breakfast before a half marathon, and she told me a Larabar. First of all, Larabars don't even have that much protein. They're made out of mostly fruit. So you're basically fueling a 13.1 mile run with fruit. The one thing that people are missing is your food is naked. If you have an apple, what would make it better? Almond butter. A piece of vegan cheese. I've actually been doing that on my maintenance plans, and everybody loves it. Like, I used to see the girls at my coffee stand, they would make a piece of toast, and I'm like, okay, so put nut butter on it, maybe put some blueberries on it. Like, things that are naked aren't going to last you. So I've always looked back on, how much stuff I thought I needed for the race and what I can endure with the proper food. Okay. So Holly, if you're watching this, I appreciate the question. And I think that hopefully this cleared the air about a lot of things. And if you've never heard somebody say that the pre and post workout is just jargon and keywords, it's just really true. And it's just, you know, personal preference and what makes you feel good. What do you do good with? Okay, I know what I was going to tell you guys. So back when I was inexperienced and I started out with half marathons, usually our races were early in the morning. We did this race called the Trail of Terror, and I'm pretty sure Oscar ran that one with me, and he got a medal. And back then I was eating Dave's Killer Bread, which you've heard my story before. My friend opened up my bike bag and asked if I packed him a sandwich, or what do you want this sandwich that's in here? And it still looked the same as when I made it, and it was 10 months old. If food doesn't rot, what is it doing in your system? Okay, if food doesn't mold, you want that. You want food that goes bad. Food that goes bad should not go in your system. So long story short, I had eaten a Dave's Killer Bread, almond butter and honey and banana sandwich, I think, back then, which I would not eat that now. A whole one. And the race started at 10 o'clock. So I thought, oh my gosh, I'm so, gotta have the food belt, gotta have all this water and all this extra weight on me. I frickin' topped it off with another half a sandwich. And oh my Lanta, you guys, I visited sorry if this is TMI, but I visited every porta potty during that race. I mean, it wasn't enjoyable. I had my dog's leash outside the porta potty, but I mean, and that goes back to let your experience be your guide. Am I ever going to eat a sandwich and a half before our race again? Hail to the no, okay? So take mental notes. What works for one doesn't work for another. Maybe there's someone on here that listens to this and says, I disagree with you. I do great on bananas. Fine, eat your bananas. Whatever works for you. So thanks for the question, Holly. Love doing these podcasts. And I say this on my Facebook Live, you guys. I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this to help you. I'm doing this to show you that there is so much knowledge when it comes to MELFIT. There's the app, there's our magazine, there's this podcast, and there's our Facebook MELFIT Connect group. So when you are wanting to surround yourself with like-minded people and absorb content that's actually going to push your gas pedal and the needle of your health up, you need to listen to people who are speaking about information that you care about, that is going to better your life. So I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Thank you for listening, or thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share. And we love connecting, inspiring, and motivating you guys. Thank you, Josh, for filming and editing this podcast. And we will see you guys on the next MELFIT podcast. Bye-bye.